the beginning of time, the price of a product indicates its value. The higher the price, the more luxurious the gadget. And a price tag as large as 4.5 lakh rupees usually indicates a luxury product. However, we're here to tell you that the Nikon D5 isn't all fluff and no function. A full-blown DSLR camera. This one is as good as they get. The number of cameras that actually give this one competition can be counted on a single hand. So without further ado, let's get right into reviewing this bad boy. The D5 is Nikon's flagship high-speed professional digital SLR. It comes with up to 14 FPS continuous shooting, 4K video recording and a new 20 megapixel full-frame sensor. If all that wasn't enough, this behemoth packs an ISO speed that goes all the way up to 3.2 million. We asked camera experts what they had to say about it, and this is what they told us.
First off, it is a really expensive camera, but I feel like it's value for money, especially because of all the features that they've put in. The autofocus is brilliant, the 3D tracking is brilliant, there's a touch focus which is very, very fast. I've used it in the Canon 1DX also, and it's pretty much the same.
Weighing in at over a kilo, the Nikon D5 features a new focus unit with 153 focus points, 55 of which are selectable. The camera also offers 12 frames per second continuous shooting with minimal viewfinder blackout and continuous AF. A new buffer means that this D5 can capture up to 200 NEF, that is raw images. It also offers a live view silent shooting option which enables an electronic shutter for silent shooting. The maximum setting of ISO 3,280,000 has certainly grabbed headlines. However, the real reason for this immense spike in sensitivity is the work that the makers of the camera have done to improve image quality and noise control at the more commonly used settings. Nikon claims that their focus area for improvement was the ISO 6400 to 12,800 range, since these settings are usually employed by news and professional sports photographers. Hence the concentration on the D5's ISO range. Another feature that's essential to the D5's target audience is the autofocus system. Nikon has upgraded this feature too, providing the new camera with a 153-point system that has 99 cross-type sensors with a central point that's sensitive down to -4 EV. Now that may sound like a lot of tech gibberish, but don't take our word for it.
And while shooting action, there's a lot of times where if your FPS is lower, you can miss the peak shot and you can shoot before and after it. I didn't face that problem with this camera. I got every shot that I wanted. It goes to about 12 frames per second in the usual mode, and if you lock the AF, it goes up to 14. And one of the most amazing things about this camera is that it does not have a buffer. When you shoot at a high FPS, your camera tends to take some time to buffer and for you to reshoot again. But with this camera, you can go to about 200 shots without any buffer. So that's 200 shots with just one click. So one of the greatest things about this camera is the optical viewfinder, which you don't find in too many cameras. It makes when you're shooting, it makes everything a lot brighter and sharper, so it's easier to focus. Usually if I'm shooting a video or something, I switch to the screen, zoom in 5x and then check for focus. But on this camera, I didn't really have to do that, which is a big difference. It saves a lot of time, and I think that's the best feature for me.
The Nikon D5 also features a touch-enabled 3.2-inch rear display. The display has been fitted with 2,500 dots in order to make the screen more responsive to touch and easy to use for playback and text input. And it's not all about the big features either. Nikon has kept in mind the little things, and it's those small improvements that have gone a long way in making the camera as good as it is. For instance, the ISO button has now been moved closer to the shutter release button, allowing users to control all of the exposure-related controls with just the right hand. There's even more buttons that can now be illuminated, including the release mode dial and playback or delete buttons. While the D5 is clearly designed for fast-paced shooting, it handles very well even when shooting a mellow subject like a field for landscapes and night images. There are a variety of useful features in the D5, such as the touchscreen and the illuminated buttons, that make it very good for landscape and night photography. However, delving into all of that would take about as long as this camera can shoot 4K video. What started out as a 3-minute clip at a time feature has now been updated by the latest Nikon firmware. The giant D5 can now shoot 4K video for up to almost 30 minutes. This then is the Nikon D5. When it comes to photography, there's nothing else that comes quite this far.